What's going on, guys? Diskin here. So I wanted to do a little bit different of a video today. There's not just one topic. There is 4 questions I'm going to be answering today. So it's a Q&A. It'll be fun, just 4 questions, and I'll kind of go through the list here. The first question, can you describe the rule of 72? So the rule of 72, this kind of goes back to the previous video I just did on compound interest and simple interest. So in short, the rule of 72 is a quick way to determine how to double your money with a certain fixed interest rate, okay? So if you have a fixed interest rate, how long will it take for you to double your money? So you take 72, the rule of 72. If you take the number 72 and divide it by whatever that fixed interest rate is, the answer will give you how many years it'll take you to double your money. So let's take, for example, if you somehow were able to get 9% fixed interest rate, it would take you 8 years to double your money. You take 72 divided by 9 equals 8. So if you had 9% interest rate, it would take you 8 years to double your money. So that is what the rule of 72 is. It's a super quick and easy way to find out how long it would take you to double your money. Next question. Ooh, I like this one. Best books you have read lately. So I do love to read. I do a lot of audiobooks plus reading books, depending on what I'm doing. I drive a lot just in real estate in general. You drive a lot. So I find that having audiobooks is a really good use of the time. That way, if you're going out an hour there and an hour back, you have 2 hours where you feel more productive rather than just driving and listening to music. Of course, sometimes that's nice to do, but for the most part, I am listening to audiobooks while I'm driving. The best 3 books I've read lately, the first one, if you are a real estate broker, this is going to be a nice one for you guys to read. Sell It Like Sirhan. It's by Ryan Sirhan. You might recognize him from $1 Million Listing. He is, to me, the best character on that Bravo show, $1 Million Listing. He wrote a book, and the reason I like it, he says it's for all salesmen, but honestly, guys, if you're not a real estate broker in real estate, I wouldn't suggest it for just sales. But I think as a broker, it's a great, great book. And he's really funny. If you know him from the show, he's just a funny, entertaining guy. And the way he looks at business and things like that and keeps up with clients and just the tips he gives in that book are really good. I think that's going to be one where I read at least once every year or two for sure. A good one to refresh on every once in a while for sure. The next book, probably my favorite book I've read in the last year, is called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. So Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins is kind of David Goggins. You should look him up. He was a Marine. He went through Hell Week. He was the only person that went through it 2 or 3 times. I'm kind of blanking on which one it was. But it's just his journey. He had a very, very rough childhood all the way up. And then it's just kind of his journey on how he got past that and everything like that. I don't want to spoil the book, so I'm not going to go into any spoilers at all. But in general, the book is about how you are so much more capable of anything than you think. You set these limits in your mind, and once you open your mind up, you can accomplish and do so much more with pain, with everything like that than you think you can. So be able to really condition the brain to push yourself more and more and more is kind of what that book's all about. It's just amazing story, amazing, makes you very motivated afterwards as well, where you shouldn't have any excuses why you're not getting out there and doing what you should be doing. The last book I'm going to mention is called The Happiness Advantage by Sean Anker. This is a great, great, great book. It's kind of a book I was suggested to by a friend. It was kind of where I was in a different place mindset-wise, and they said, hey, check this book out. I think it'll really resonate with you. And so I read it, and I couldn't agree more. It perfectly resonated where I was mentally at that time. I've done Instagram posts on this as well. It kind of flips the normal thought process on, work hard, then you'll become successful. Once you become successful, you'll become happy, right? So that's how the normal person thinks it works out there. While this flips that, and it says, it completely flips that. It says the opposite of once you become happy, then much more success will follow that, okay? So once you have a positive mindset, and that will lead to our brains being much more engaged, productive, creative, things like that. So it kind of flips the whole narrative of ways to become happy before, and then using that to gain massive success rather than the traditional way that you think about it. Okay, so those are the best 3 books I've read lately. I highly recommend all 3. The first one, especially if you're in real estate and especially if you're a broker, I think that's a great book. So those are the best 3 I've read lately. Number 3 kind of goes to what I was just talking about. Are you a full-time investor? If so, how? So no, I'm not just a full-time investor. I am also a real estate broker, and I also own a real estate brokerage. It's here in Bellingham, Washington. It's called Bellwether Real Estate, so I'm one of 5 owners at this company. I was previously, until about 2 months ago, the managing broker for the firm as well. We have about 62 agents. Sorry, someone was just waving to me. Have about 62 agents right now, and we did about $215 million in sales volume last year. So that is part of my job. I'm also a real estate broker as well. So that's where a lot of the income comes in, and then you try to take that income and put it into investments, right? And then also I am always having my investor cap on. So I do a couple flips a year. I did one last year. You can see YouTube videos on that previously. So I did a real flip last year, and I'm also constantly trying to gain rentals. I own a couple right now, and that's kind of the long-term goal, is to just keep accumulating rentals. If so, how part of that question, how do you be a full-time investor? I do think it's possible. You don't have to be a broker or anything like that. It's just what I'm at personally. But if you started with wholesaling and anything like that, to basically get to the point where you're able to constantly be trying to gain rentals or loan money or things like that, you can definitely become a full-time broker. It's not out of the question at all. I also don't think it's required to be a broker or have your real estate license. When I got licensed, I was 18, and I had no idea how to do this real estate thing, right? I knew I wanted to be an investor, but I didn't know how. So I thought, hey, it makes sense to go get my real estate license, right? So that's kind of how I got into it. My dad's also been a real estate broker for 30 years or something like that. So it's kind of been in my family for a long time. But yeah, that's how I kind of fell into it. Was I knew I wanted to be an investor. I just didn't know how. So I went and got my license. But that's definitely not the only track you can take. So number 4. Would you suggest going to college or becoming an entrepreneur right away? Thinking about someone for 18 through 20 years old-ish. Okay. So I think, so Gary Vaynerchuk actually talks about this a lot, right? If you guys watch Gary V at all, you have probably seen a video on this quite a few times. I always say, I went to college. I have a college degree in economics from the University of Western Washington here. So I've been through both, right? I actually came at a time where I was doing well in business and had peer pressure to just quit college and just do my full-time real estate, right? But I did stick with it, and to this day I'm very happy I did so. For me, it was the personal connections I made in college, the connections with all the people out there, and better critical thinking, I would say, would be a big thing. I gained a lot of critical thinking. I gained a lot of other techniques, advantages, things like that through college experience just in general. Even if I'm not taking my economics degree and directly applying it, I don't think a lot of degrees actually do that anyway. So from that standpoint, I don't think it's necessary for you to be an entrepreneur to go to college. But that being said, I don't think it's the right path for everybody to just skip college and go directly into entrepreneurship. That being said as well, I think if you have a great idea and great work ethic and you're ready to go to work right away, you don't necessarily need to spend $20,000 a year, or whatever your college might be, $40,000, $50,000 a year for a college degree as well. I don't think anymore a bachelor's degree is as valuable as it once used to be. It's more like honestly, a high school diploma almost at this point, right? Getting that bachelor's degree is almost everyone has one, it feels like now. So it's not a requirement anymore to do that. So in the short, I would say if you're at a point where you feel comfortable with where you're at to become an full-time entrepreneur, I think that's a great way to go. If you already have the work ethic and all that kind of stuff to just jump right into it, I think you should go and do that and not spend your money. But if you're at a point where you're like, I don't know what I want to be, maybe I want to be an investor, maybe I want to own my own business, I think college can be a great experience to kind of work through that and find out what you like. Taking different classes, honestly, can be very advantageous. For a while, a finance major. I didn't like a lot of the accounting aspects of it and a few other aspects of that. Economics really spoke to me, especially how everything works together, things like that. It made sense in my mind, and there's a lot of math, which I like math, so that made sense. I do think it's helped me in quite a few ways as well, so I think that made sense for me. I was doing real estate investing while I was going through college. I would do flips, and that's about how I paid for college. So things like that. So I don't think there's a reason you can't also do both. So don't pigeonhole yourself in that as well. So yeah. So hey guys, that was the questions I got asked. Hopefully it was somewhat helpful for you guys out there. If you have any questions on any of those 4 topics or anything else, message me, Instagram, anything like that. Always like, share, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Would really appreciate it and help me out as well. And also like my Instagram page. It'll be somewhere around here, at diskin.re. That's at diskin.re for my Instagram. Thanks guys.